I'm going to show you a basic salad dressing recipe that's quick and easy like all the recipes I've been demonstrating. But more interestingly today, I'm going to show you how to whip up a salad dressing without a recipe. And here's why. One of the things that I believe really strongly in the kitchen is that once we can learn the basic foundational elements of things, like ratios of vinegar to olive oil in this case, we can then modify and play and be flexible. First, I'm going to show you the basic ratio recipe so that then we can play. So I like to do a ratio of 1/3 vinegar to 2/3 oil. So if you're using a blender, the best way to do it, if you have markers like I do, you can follow the 1 cup and the 3 cup. If you don't have that, you could either take a little sticker and pop it on so as you're getting used to this, you can sort of know how much to fill up. So here's how it goes. We're gonna fill it up with vinegar, and we're gonna put some mustard in this one, and I'd probably count the mustard in the vinegar part because it's vinegary. So I'm gonna leave a little bit of space underneath the number 1. And I'm gonna add a little bit of Dijon mustard. I love mustard in salad dressings. Almost every one of my dressings has some mustard in it. That was probably about 2 teaspoons. All right, so a teaspoon or 2, I would say. Then we're gonna add a little bit of salt. We're gonna add a little bit of pepper too. I'm gonna add 1 clove of garlic. And if you're using the high-speed blender, you can just throw the whole clove in and turn it on. My setting is on low. I started on low. And then I can lift the speed up slightly. You want to let this go for a little while because you want your garlic to blend. Okay, so this is done, and I add my oil from the top last because you don't want to blend your oil too much, just enough to emulsify. So now I'm going to add my oil until the number 3. So do you ever make your dressings in a jar and then just measure it up and shake it? So what happens often is if you make it in the jar without whisking it or emulsifying in a blender, you'll often get this separation. You can see how the vinegar and the mustard are at the bottom and the olive oil's on top. It's because it hasn't been emulsified. So this is why I love this technique, because after we blend it, it won't ever come back to this state. See, only a second, just super quickly. I'm not so happy. Introducing maple syrup. If I find that I need to kind of balance the flavor. So I'm gonna add a touch of maple, and you see that's really just like a half a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon. And I need a little bit more oil because it's feeling a little bit runny. And I need to season a little bit more because this is a lot of dressing, and I underestimated the amount of salt I needed. Outstandingly awesome. I'm gonna pour it into a labeled jar, and I want you close so you can see how silky and blended this looks. Here's another trick. If you're gonna make another salad dressing, you don't have to worry about washing this. In fact, like if I were making a pesto, see how I have a little bit of vinaigrette left over? I would just keep it in there, and I would add my basil. I have a separate video for pesto, check that one out for sure. And I would just add it all in, and this just gives it a little flavor. So, and I may just dump it out and just keep all the flavors in the blender and make something else. If it's in the same family, it's a great idea. Okay, let's set everything aside, and I'm gonna show you a couple of fun variations. So I wanna add some nuts here. You could use whatever you want, is my point. Meaning, if a dressing calls for cashews and you only have almonds, you can substitute them. It's basically a creamy fat that will add texture to your dressing. Now, notice how I popped them in first. It's because I had a little dressing left over. You don't want to blend the almonds alone. They need some liquid and moisture in here to blend. I'm going to add some red onion. And this will just give it a little flavor kick. It'll give it a little oniony kick. Let's add some garlic, obviously. 2 cloves, because I feel like it being a little bit more robust and flavorful. Some salt and pepper and mustard. And what do we do now? Ooh, we need our, all right, I'll get my hands dirty because lemons are so good. And the good thing about using a blender is I don't actually mind if the pits go in. We'll lower it and then shut it off. Now, you must see this. We added those nuts, remember? And the onions. It's already coming together more, which is really nice because it'll make the dressing even more creamy. And now for our oil. And just a quick blend. So good. I love cashews and almonds and nuts in my dressing. Now, if you like your dressings a little bit oilier than this is a little runny, which I like because it's just nice and light. You could add more oil. And if you like it a little bit runnier, you could add more vinegar. And there we have it. Mustard dressing ready. Now I'm going to show you how to make it by hand with a bowl and a whisk. We're going to use some apple cider vinegar just for fun and see how I eyeball the vinegar. Now I'm not going to make quite as much, so this is going to be about 1 part vinegar and about 2 parts oil. We need to crush our garlic. I'm going to be lazy today and use a garlic crush. But I'll also quickly show you a technique for crushing garlic with a knife in case you don't have this tool. So you take the back of your knife and you just crush, and then I just chop. So now we have our vinegar blend in our bowl. And here's the trick. You want to pour the olive oil in very slowly and whisk at the same time. If you don't whisk, you're going to end up having that separation that I told you about earlier. It's kind of watery. Let's see if I can show you with a spoon. Can you guys see how it's a little watery? It doesn't look as creamy and as emulsified as this guy did. What does that mean? We need more oil. And I also can't really taste my maple syrup, and I want it a little bit sweeter. It's not even sweet, it's just, it cuts the vinegar flavor more than anything. It doesn't taste sweet at all. And I'm just adding like a teeny touch. And that's it. So this is done, but I want you to see that they look a little different, right? This was in a blender, so it there's a blade and it juiced it better. It's different. It's the same dressing. It may even taste a little different, but this is a perfectly fine and delicious option, right? I sometimes don't want to get my blender dirty. Okay, so I promised you a quick showcase on how to add fresh herbs to your dressing. So let's just say we're using basil, although you could totally do all of them. And I'm just gonna roll the basil. Roll your fingers in when you're chopping and don't leave them out flat. It will help protect your nails. And your finger, which is more important than your nails. But just be careful with a big knife, okay? And I'm not ignoring you, but I don't look up from my cutting board when I'm speaking, and that is a very important tip. So I'm gonna just put that aside so we have the middle part, and then with my other hand on top of the knife, I'm just gonna go over the herbs and smash them. And You know, you could do this for, I don't know, a minute or so, and the more you do it, the more you chop. They won't emulsify and they won't blend and make it look the same, but they'll give it a flavor. And we're good enough, and let's add it to our bowl. Let's add this. You see, it just kind of, it's different, but it flavors up your dressing, and there's no right or wrong. Okay, I'm gonna show you one more variation using these fresh herbs, but just because I'm only showing you one more doesn't mean there are not endless variations. So I'm eyeballing my ratio. Vinegar. Again, you don't need the garlic. I'm gonna add 1 clove. Because the herbs are kind of powerful, I only need a little bit of garlic. I have this sriracha infused sea salt and pepper. Squeeze and catch. So all the pits will end up in my hand, hopefully, if I do this right. I'm gonna add some fresh mint leaves, a nice amount of them, some basil. You could also add some spinach or some kale, arugula, any kind of fresh green would be gorgeous in this dressing. So this is what we've got going on right now. And our oil. Love this! In a jar. Favorite part is we get to taste. The green dressing is so fresh. So check this out, I finished my bottle of oil, so instead of going back into the kitchen to get another bottle, I'm just gonna pour it right into my olive oil bottle. Ooh. So listen, don't be intimidated by trying new things. Get the basic formula, have some fun in your kitchen. Don't forget to play, because freedom comes by following the basics and then applying your own flavors and making it your own. So have fun in the kitchen. Let me know how it goes.